What's up everybody, I'm Dear Gamer. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're back with some more Elden Ring, and today I'm bringing you 17 tips that I wish I knew before I started playing the game. This is going to be our guide of things that as I've played the game, I've enjoyed the game, the community has played the game. I asked a question on my feed, so just to ask in my community what tips they wish they knew before they started. So this video is going to be a combination of some things I found, something my community found, and the goal here is to make it as juicy and informational as possible so that you can have an amazing time while playing some Elden Ring. So my family, without further ado, let's dive in. So first things first, I'm gonna start by talking about building your character. This is probably one of the most important things while going into a game like this or a Souls game. Some of you guys that play a Souls game, some things are familiar. Some people have never played a Souls game. These are some things that you want to keep in mind while you're picking your character. So when you start the game, you get to pick a character. You can choose Samurai, you can choose the Vanguard, a whole bunch of different classes. But the thing is, that doesn't matter what class you start with. No, it doesn't, because as far as your stats, as you're leveling up, you can put whatever attributes you want into whatever points you want as well. If you want to put all of your points into Digger, you can go ahead. I'm going to put all of your points into mine to have as much magic points as possible. Go ahead. What really matters is for you to identify what playstyle you want to have, and then you start to build your character. So prime example for me, I like to use Samurai. First of all, I like to use melee gameplay. All the games I typically play on my channel, or I've played growing up, I've always done a melee build. So melee build means you like close quarter combat, attacking the things head on, whatever weapon you're using in your arms. So for me, in order for me to make an effective build, I have to identify, cool, now what kind of weapon do I want to use? So typically I like fast weapons, so they swing fast. Cool thing about these builds are it allows me to attack quickly and get out of the way. Use a couple of moves and before I'm out the way. So that's why I like to play. So for me, I gotta look at how I want to play is based on what weapon I'm going to be using. So you want to start with your weapon. So there's lots of weapons in the game. We'll start from the top. There's daggers, there's fast weapons, there's straight swords, there's great swords, there's rapiers, there's katanas, pole arms, hammers. Then you get all the way down here, and then there's whips, there's magic, there's claw, there's bow and arrow. You want to be an archer? Go ahead. You want to use magic, you want to use incantation, you want to use fate, all the things are available to you. You want to put a shield on, you can play this game however you want. That's the beauty of the FromSoft games. There's builds, so essentially what you want to do is think about all the games you played previously before you playing this one. Which one do you enjoy the most? What kind of playstyle? Then now all you have to do is just pair that playstyle with a class in Elden Ring. So for me, my example, I'll kind of go through a couple, that way you guys kind of get an idea. So for me, a couple are, I like playing with dex weapons. I like using katanas. So if you notice on my attributes scaling, it says strength D, dex C. On the right, it says attributes required, strength 11, dex 15. So what does this tell me? In order for me to equip the Uchi Katana, I need to have at least 11 strength points and how many dexterity? I believe it was 15 dexterity. So if you go over here, strength, I have 23 strength, and dexterity, I have 44 dexterity. So at this point, I'm able to equip majority of the weapons. Then if you notice, that's the requirements to put the weapon on. Next part is, how do you make the weapon stronger? So if you look, we'll go back to that same weapon. It has a D in attribute scaling and a C index. The higher the grade, meaning A being the highest or S being the highest, the more points you get by putting more attributes into that skill set. I said a lot of words with that. What does that mean? So if I were to 100% put all of my points into strength, then if you notice on that same weapon, I am gonna get a C for scaling, meaning how much more strength do I get per point in that category. If you notice, it has a C index. So with this weapon, I'm gonna prioritize dexterity, because even though I get some attributes, some power from putting points into strength, I get a lot more by putting it into dex. And what happens is, as the weapons start to level up, you start to get even higher, more points. So these are all CCC. I think I might have one that's like a B scaling, but if B scaling, A scaling, you're gonna get even more power while using that skill. If you notice as well, all the dex weapons, they're just strength dex, strength dex, strength dex, but then you start getting into these weapons. These are ones that have double attributes. So this one has arcane D, this one has intelligence C, and this one has intelligence D. So if you look on the right hand side as well, in order for me to equip this weapon, I need to have 15 strength, 18 intelligence, and 14 dexterity. So now, and what are you gonna do? You're gonna go fight some monsters, get some runes, come over here to your grace. Once you unlock it, then you go over here and put your points in here. This is how you level up. Once you get your attributes enough, you're able to equip that weapon. So I bet you're wondering, DJ, what happens if I don't have enough attributes to equip that weapon? Well, if you notice, see how it has a little X on it? That means I can't equip this weapon. So what that means is what's gonna happen, so you can't use it effectively. So if I put it in two hands, I still can't use it effectively. I'm not gonna be able to use it for all of its power, all of its attack. But if I were to have the points necessary to use the skill, I'll be able to use a special ability, and the attack damage will actually do some good damage. So if I attack an enemy like that with that weapon right now, it wouldn't do me any good. Which is a good segue into looking at some other weapons. So prime example, we'll just go down the tree. So for this one, you want strength and dex. Typically the curved sword katanas are going to be dex weapon, the faster weapons. This one is going to start when you start getting into strength. As if you notice, this one needs more strength than dex. These are your strength builds. So people that like using sometimes medium to slower weapons, you're gonna put strength. You're gonna use strength as your primary skill to level your character up. Prime example, this weapon. You're not gonna be able to use this weapon at all until you put at least 45 points into strength. So for people that like doing dedicated builds, or I guess once you get level up, if you can just keep on leveling. I think the max level is like 713, but you can go as high as you want and be able to equip everything if you're looking to do that. But if you're just trying to optimize and get to the, I guess, PvP cap, you're gonna have to decide on which route you want to go. But don't worry, a lot of you guys are like, oh my god, there's a lot of pressure. Like, do I need to know all of this right now? No, because you're able to respec your character. Respec, what does that mean? It means that what you can do is at some later part in the game, you can go to a certain NPC, and that NPC will allow you to go back to level 0 and keep all the points you've acquired, all the runes, and reclassify your character the way you want to. For example, I was using Moonveil Katana, and the Moonveil Katana was an intelligence based katana. So I was using this one. I had intelligence 23, strength, and dexterity. I switched over to the River of Blood, and that one's arcane weapon, so I switched over and leveled my character accordingly. But that's essentially how it goes down. You always want to pick your class or points based on the weapon you're using. So now you might be wondering, okay, well, what's the formula? How much do I put per weapon, per everything else? So you don't want to put all of your points into your attacking attribute. I mean, you'll be strong, but the problem is you won't be able to take any hits because you don't have enough endurance, you don't have enough vigor, enough health to withstand any attack. So you want to have a healthy mix between vigor. What that does is it increases your health, overall health. Mind increases your overall FP points, so using your abilities, your R2, whatever those abilities are, that's what that does. Endurance focuses on your equipment load. Strength, your attacking. Dexterity, your attacking. Intelligence, your attacking. Feint. So the only big three you're gonna focus on is vigor, mind, and whatever attacking attribute you're gonna be using to make your character as strong as you can. And just to be clear, you see how it says 175 plus 142 on the physical, on attack power? That 142 is how much extra I'm getting based on the scaling I have by putting points into dexterity, strength, and arcane. So that's how you can tell your extra damage you're getting per item you're using. So the fun part about this game is, next segment we're going to talk about is there are tons of weapons, a lot of weapons. Spend your time playing with every single one, identifying how it works, use a special ability, identify if you like it or not. There's so many different ways that you don't want to box yourself into one particular playstyle. Have fun with all the weapons. That's what this game is really about. This game is really meant to be played over and over and over and over because the FromSoft games have such high replayability. Look at that. There's so many different weapons, and some people might be wondering, oh, what is the best weapon to use? The best weapon to use is the weapon you spec into and the weapon you feel comfortable using. There is no like, oh, you can only use this weapon, because a lot of things are really, really cool. Look at this. Look at this thing. That thing is insane. Look at that thing, you know? So that's my thing, is just have your fun, play each weapon, and see like which one fits your playstyle even more. Next thing we're gonna go into is your armor. Armor is very important. Armor is important for multiple reasons. One is for damage negation in terms of how much damage you're taking whenever you're getting hit. So you want to make sure that you can equip the best armor. And when I say best armor, typically I mean what armor will give you the most physical resistance based on what load style you're comfortable with. If you look right under my camera, it says medium load, right? So I'll take my camera off for a second. It tells you right there medium load. So medium load means that when I'm rolling, I do a medium roll like this. You see? And for me, medium roll is important because I play a dex character. I need to be able to dodge in and out of attacks, attack, dodge, attack, dodge, and dodge without having to lose my positioning. If you go even heavier, for example, you see how it goes heavy load? When you go heavy load, this is what they call fat rolling. When you're fat rolling, it means you're a tank. You can take a lot of hits, but you're not rolling nowhere. So essentially, that's not gonna be your playstyle. Your playstyle might be put on something like this and utilize heavy weapons like greatswords because they give you poise, meaning that as you're being attacked, you can just tank through attacks. Like it just boom, nothing can stop you. So if you want to play a heavier, super strong, sturdy kind of character, you're gonna look at heavy rolling based on putting heavy equipment on. But what happens if you're in a situation where you're like, oh, I just want to have this no armor and just go naked if I can? You can. The cool thing about light load is you roll a lot faster as well. As you can see, you roll really, really quick. But the problem is, if you get hit, you're gonna take a lot of damage, and a lot of enemies in this game hit very, very hard. So I wouldn't recommend playing like this unless you're doing like a no armor run or naked blood run or along those lines. But if not, you probably want to put some armor on. So just looking at the pieces I had on, when I say the combination is what can I put on that will protect me, with the most damage resistance, but at the same time, what's not gonna cause me to be super heavy. And that's kind of where I landed on this, and he looks pretty cool. I'm a samurai. Just because you're a samurai doesn't mean you have to use only the samurai armor. You equip whatever you want. I'm personally a fan of having like medium, tight, cool looking armor that looks like, yeah, he looks very agile. The cape looks good, the head looks good. He just looks like he's about to ready to go. He looks like the final boss. So that's kind of the playstyle I like using, and that's why it's important to look at your armor and make sure that it's one, keeping you protected, and at the same time allowing you to move as fast as you want to move in battle. Talisman, we'll talk about Talisman next. Talisman in this game are your accessories, and they are so good in this game. There's so many cool accessories that do a lot of cool things that really can customize your playstyle, your build. So you might be wondering, I have 4. You get them as you progress through the game, but 4 is the most you can have. And just going through, I'm not gonna go through every single one that I have, but they're just so much fun that adds so much fun and variety to add to your game. So with Talisman, you want to get something that complements your build. Remember, everything is focused pointed towards your build. So for me, for example, I'll put on my actual build so you can see this. I'm using a bleed build. So a bleed build means that as I attack my enemies, their bleed builds up, and when it gets to 100%, they take a lot of damage. That regardless of how much damage, if I was doing 1 damage, once the bleed gets to 100%, it takes like, it feels like 10%, 20% of your overall health. is very, very strong. And especially since bleed procs with the faster, the more hits you get, the more your bleed's procking. That's why it makes sense for me to use dual katana. Bleed, 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 bleed. You see me? Bleed. By now, I would have got a proc on an enemy. And let me just show you really quick so you can get an idea. So find a specimen right here. The goal is 2. See that bleed proc already? See how much health it took off? It looked like it took like 10% of his overall health. And there it goes again. It shows a little animation when it's proccing. So bleed. These dudes, they cancel stand on my hits. But bleed is strong. I really enjoy it. It's for fast playstyle. I'm in and out. I'm able to dodge whatever I need to do and get out of the area. So I recommend you guys like making a build that's accustomed to your playstyle. So next thing, we want to continue on with a talisman. So a talisman, my build increases my attack when damage is taken. You just want to make sure just whatever talisman you're using just complements your build you're using, and everything points to it. Next thing I want to talk about as we're going down the route or the path of combat is our Ashes of War. So this game is amazing in customization. There's so many things you can do. So what are Ashes of War? Ashes of War allow you to increase, equip different skills for your weapon. So for example, I have this ability that increases my bleed buildup. Or if I want, I could just switch out and use Piercing Fang on my weapon. I can do all these different things, and now my other weapon has a new ability. You could change the ability in whatever playstyle you want. So this game has unlimited amount of options in playstyle that typically 2 people are not going to be playing the same way, because you have so many different ways you can customize your weapon. We have this one on equip right now. There it is. So Ashes of War, how do you find them? Ashes of War are found out throughout the whole game. You find them sometimes by beating bosses. Sometimes you find little rolling balls of little rolling ball creatures that have a little glimmer to them. You kill those and you're able to get that. Sometimes they give you items from there as well. But Ashes of War are very, very important because it ultimately changes your playstyle, and it's so cool to try out so many different kind of playstyles as well. Next thing I want to talk about is Affinity Granted. So Affinity Granted, what is Affinity Granted? Meaning after you pick your Ashes of War, whatever skill you're going to be using, you can choose how you want this weapon to scale. And in typical and old FromSoft game, that's like you put a bleed build, you can do a quality build for strength and dexterity. And here, for example, quality, but it tells you what attributes you're going to get. So if I go here, I will start to get A in dex, meaning I'll get even more attacking power by going this route. So I can go keen, or I can, for me, for instance, I went to blood to increase my bleed up, even build up even more, so I can proc it even faster. So as you're going through, you can look at one, what does a passive skill give you? So I put poison on, it causes a poison buildup of 90, and it keeps my tribute scaling the same. But if I go over here, it goes to CD, and if I go here to heavy, this is going to be a pure strength build. I'm going to go from D to B scaling, meaning I will get a lot more points into attack if I put more attributes into my attack compared to anything else. In this open world game, you're going to find a lot of bosses in this game. There's tons of bosses in the world just walking around chilling. You sometimes you spawn different bosses at night versus in the day. You don't have to fight every single boss you encounter. For example, I ran past him and got the grace. You don't have to fight them. You can choose to if you want, and a lot of times they give you items, they give you weapons, they give you skills you can get. You don't want to fight every boss if you don't have to, if you're not prepared. So one thing that a lot of people don't know, when the game started, there's that golden sentinel. That gold sentinel, he will wreck you. So you don't have to fight him if you're not ready to fight him in the moment. You can do like a lot of other people did, run away, equip some better gear, level up your character a little bit. When you're properly prepared, then you can come back and take on that monster or that boss. So don't feel like you have to be pressured to do anything at any time. The game is open world. You can fight the bosses out of order. You don't have to, there's no particular order how you have to do anything in this game, which is what makes it amazing. since I'm in this area, next thing you want to do is, you see this little gold tree over here? That gold tree gives you a golden seed every single time. Most of the time you get just one gold seed. There's like 1 or 2 trees that give you 2 at the same time. What does the gold seed do? So when you get the gold seed, that the golden seed, you take it afterwards, you take it back until your resting place, your grace, and I'll teleport there for time. You come over here, you rest at your grace, and you go to Flask, and you add a charge. When you starts out, it tells you want 1, 2, 3, and as you get further into the game, then you can get more and more and more. You use them. After you use them, it gives you an additional charge on your Flask. So over here, when I'm healing, it gives me additional 1. So that's how you want to do it. Second, you see those trees, grab them. Always go check. That's why it's really, really good to do what I'm about to tell you. Look at that guy. See, that's wrong enemy. I left him alone. There's no reason. Is what you want to do is explore the world. Every area is going to have those golden things. Explore the world, because it's going to allow you to find so many of the golden seeds, which will allow you to increase your Flask as well. The more Flasks you have, the more time you can heal. The more time you can heal, longer you can stay alive in battle. Longer stay alive in battle, the more successful you're going to be overall in that fight. So that's why it's important for you to make sure you're taking your time and checking things out. The churches, you want to go to the churches. The churches are marked on the map. You can see them when you get up to them. They look like that. The churches are important because the churches give you the sacred tier. What is a sacred tier? Sacred tier would have been right here. So sacred tier is the same thing. You use a sacred tier, you go to your grace, and what it does is you go to Flask. It allows you to increase the amount of healing for HP and FP, which every single Flask. So spend some time as you're exploring the map, go around and go to every single church that you get so that you can replenish and heal yourself for even more in battle. The next thing I'm going to tell you guys is, don't be baited. Make sure you're exploring. As you're playing through the game, as you beat a dungeon, you see this, it takes you back to the entrance, right? Most of the time, that's what it does. But what you want to do is you want to explore. Continue to explore every single inch of this game, because there's so much to see and uncover. This game is like a kid in a candy store. You're on the one quest, next thing you know, you're like, ooh, that was cool. Let's go explore this. Let's go explore that. Let's go explore this. For example, after you beat the boss of this area, I'm not going to show you what boss it is, but don't leave this area yet, because if you go over here all the way to where the water meets the land, there's a secret dungeon you could have missed, and it has a legendary Ashes of War in there. So that's why you really want to spend your time in this game. Exploring is right over there. Exploring, because you're gonna find so many goodies that you're not gonna know what to do, because that's just the fun of the game. Just exploring and seeing all the things that you can uncover. Typically in games you have markers, you don't really use them. This is a game where you want to use your markers. So if you press the X button, you can put one of these down, a waypoint, and if you look, it'll help you right there. You go up to it, it disappears. You want to use these a lot, because you're going to find a lot of, sometimes when you're trying to find a direction, you get lost, you get discombobulated. This will help you find your way. But what you want to do is you want to put markers down, because like I said earlier, I think there's like 84 bosses in the game, and you're going to run into a lot of them just randomly chilling. So use your markers, just like I did right there's a boss right there. Use them to mark up wherever you find an enemy, or you find a good, you find a weapon, you find an enemy, you find a point you want to go back to. Use whatever code you want with this, but it helps you when you're playing the game. So it's cool, what am I going to do today? If I explore something, I wasn't strong enough, I want to go back to it. Use that marker in order to make yourself more efficient when you're exploring the world. Never leave anything uncovered. You find something, mark it. If it doesn't show up like this as an item or a symbol, create your own symbol so you can go back to it later on in the future. So these things right here are bosses. So typically you go into them, you fight the boss and you get an item, or you get the weapon, or you get the armor. So make sure you're kind of going through those in the game. What you want to do is kind of like go through the map. If you notice areas like this, that is going to be a location, so you can mark that. But what you want to do is get on your horse, go around, and there's areas like this, that's a ruin, or that's something there. So when you have some downtime in between your gaming, you want to kind of go on the map and look, this is the area right there. I would mark, This is something over here. This is something over here. And this is also something over here. There's just so much to uncover in this game that you really want to spend your time looking at things. Another tree over here. And I had like almost 100 hours in the game right now. And I'm still uncovering a lot of things because this game is just so large. They did a fantastic game with the scaling of it as well. So those, if you can see, those are going to be areas. If you see any red circles, a small circle, I'll see if I can find one. Any small red circles, those are going to be minor areas. Minor area, you can find mining materials, or you can find like weapon, armor, things like that. So what you want to do is every time you find a catacomb, complete it. Just complete it. Because if you're not strong enough, mark it and come back to it, of course. But you want to complete it because that's where you get a lot of cool talisman, cool weapons, and cool items as well. With your horse, you can double jump. I'm pretty sure you guys figured out by now. But you want to spend a lot of your time like marking everything on the map so you can be more efficient when you're playing. So how do you defend yourself in battle? So you can defend yourself in battle multiple ways. One, you can kill the enemy before he kills you. Two, you can put a shield on. Or if you're playing like me, without no shield, you can just focus on your dodge. And this is why I say that dodge is an important medium dodge, because you're fighting an enemy, especially strong enemies, you have iframes, and iframes mean like you're invisible for a certain period of time while you're dodging. For example, if he hits me, see, there's that frame right there, opening right there. That's it. Opening, and you want to dodge. So a lot of times you're worried like, oh, what should I do? Dodge. See that? Iframes, frames. So dodging is going to be your best friend if you're using the medium build. If you're using a tank build, you're doing fat rolling, then you're not gonna be dodging. But if you're contemplating putting a shield and you're worried if you necessarily need one, sometimes you don't. Just try it out. This dodging is very, very important. And a couple of more things with dodging. You don't want to panic dodge. Panic dodge where you do one of these. You're like, oh, go. You're dodging like crazy. What is that doing? You're killing your stamina. And this game, the way it's programmed, some of these enemies, they'll wait for you to dodge, and that's when they'll do their follow-up attack, in which they're gonna kill you. So you want to be patient. You want to learn the monster's moveset to see like, okay, when are my openings? When can I get attack in? And don't worry, you're going to die a lot of times. That's what this game is. You're gonna die over and over and over and over and over, just like baby steps. You learn as you play. And also too, animations are really, really tight. So focus on watching the monster and animation, and that's when you'll know when it's time for you to dodge. And you're not gonna get it every time, like I told you. But boom, attack. Patience will reward you. You don't want to get greedy. Don't get greedy. And when I say don't get greedy, what does that mean? Don't get greedy means that you're like going for 2 attacks. Instead of just going for 1 and done, or 1, 2 and out, you're trying to go for 1, 2, 3. When I say 1, you're like 1, 2, 3, and you're trying to get that extra hit in. No, sometimes it's just a 1, dodge. 1, 2, dodge. 1, dodge. That's how you play the game. It's all about timing your attacks and being patient. You'll be awarded. There's nothing more frustrating than getting close to killing a boss, it having like a sliver of health left, and you get killed because you're being greedy. So you want to take your time, slow down, and not be greedy with your attacks. So next thing I want to talk about is use your criticals. So critical attacks are cool in this game. Critical attacks, I can't get him. This build I have right now won't stagger him, but whenever you hear like a doom, the noise, and the enemy kneels down, that's when you walk up to them and you can just use a regular attack and you'll do a big old damage attack. So I'm pretty sure you guys have encountered that, but those are called criticals. Also, criticals are when you backstab the enemy. Sometimes, oh, see, I was trying to get a backstab on right now. Let me respawn them again and get a backstab. Backstabs are good because they do big damage. So next one, whenever possible, backstab your enemy. If you press in your left analog stick, you can crouch. Crouch it behind you. Boom. Look at that. Critical damage. Almost enough to kill him in 1 hit. So make sure you take advantage of your backstabbing when you can, because it gives you a great amount of damage done to the enemy and it makes the fight almost done. See? I just know. Wait, 1 tap. Wait. That's how this game is. It's patience. Like 1 tap, dodge, tap, tap, dodge, 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 tap, dodge, tap. It's like boxing. That's how you want to kind of approach this game. The more that you have your mind time of like timing your attacks. Remember, time your attacks. Don't panic attack. Don't panic attack. Don't panic dodge. Sometimes you got to panic dodge where you're like, oh my God, something's popping off or you're about to get killed. But most of the time, just calm down, take a deep breath, watch the animation, dodge when needed, attack when needed, slow and steady. The slowest moves, smoothest fast. That's the way you want to approach this game. Something you guys might not realize is you can actually put two skills at the same time. You're like, how do you do that? First, you use the first skill like that. Then you put your other weapon, your left-hand weapon, two-handed. Then you can use the other skill and you can stack them like that. At this point, I have 2 weapons equipped, so I should demonstrate this for you guys. But if you had enough, now I have this ability on, and I can use this ability, and I can use my third ability. So it's really cool. You kind of want to like decrease your armor to go really light so you can equip multiple weapons and you stack all of them at the same time. But like I was saying earlier, there's so many different ways you can play. You can run a passive, Ashes of War to complement you while you're fighting, but the goal is just to have a good time, switching things up and being creative with your builds. Another thing too is when you get later on in your flasks, you can actually allocate how many flasks you have based on how your playstyle is. If you're using a mage character, you probably want more of these because you're playing farther away, so you're not getting hit as much. If you use melee, you might want more HP, but depending on what kind of build you're using as far as your skills, because I like using my skill a lot, I keep 9 health and 4 of these, so you can customize them wherever your playstyle is so that it makes sense for you. Remember, everything's always going to be centered around your build. So say if you look down here, I have a bunch of stuff equipped, right? If you hold down the down button on the D-pad, what it does is it skips to whatever the first item is. Sometimes you're in battle, you're like, oh my God, you got like this equipped and you're trying to heal yourself. Just hold down and it goes to the first one, allowing you to get to your heals a lot quicker. Next I'm gonna show you is if you go on the map, you hold triangle, you can actually sort through all the areas that you've been to, which sometimes make it a little easier to find where you're going next. Sometimes you don't wanna scroll all the way, just hit triangle and boom, you can go teleport to where you wanna go. I recommend you guys going to a round table as soon as you can, talking to everybody, because that's where it helps you upgrade your weapons and add other things that you get in the game. You can give them some NPCs in that area. So to continue on, some other tips I'll share is make sure you talk to every NPC multiple times. And I say multiple times meaning they just exhaust their their dialogue. Prime example, you see he's talking, you want to talk to him over and over and over and over and over. The benefits of that is sometimes they give you different items that starts their next quest line, or events happen that you might miss out on by only talking to an NPC one time. Just keep on repeating until it's ultimately done. Next thing is upgrading your weapon. So you have a weapon, you're enjoying it, you're liking it. Now, what do I do? How can I make it even stronger? What you want to go is go to the smithing table. This one you can find super early in the game. This is the first NPC you find that helps you buy things. This is probably one of the areas you literally start the game right there. So when you start getting smithing stones, which we talked about, when you can find them in mines, like mine caves or dungeons, you come back over here and you use them to level up your stuff. So prime example, here's one of those. It costs you some money. Do you have enough stones? And that's how it kind of goes. And all the way up until the later in the game, you'll start finding smith stone 1, 2, 3, 4, and accordingly based on how far you want to level up that weapon. So it's very, very important to increase your damage. So it's not just about pumping points into your attributes. It's important to keep your weapon up on par with you so you can do some good damage to whatever boss you're fighting in the moment. I recommend buying a torch from this early merchant as well, very early on, because in some areas of the game it's very, very dark and you're not going to be able to see what you're going into. Later on, you're going to be able to just buy a lantern, which you can just equip on your character whenever you need to. So you go into a dark area, now you can see. Or if you're just in an open area, you want to glow on your character, you can equip it as well. I recommend exploring the game at night, because by exploring the game at night, you're going to run into different enemies, some special boss enemies, and it keeps things exciting as well. You never know what you're going to expect in this game. So the most important thing is just explore, have fun. As you're having fun, you're going to continue to find new weapons, find new items, find new monsters, and this game is just all about exploring. These things right here, you break them and you get the spirit room, the glowing ones. Glowing ones like this, you can run on top of them or attack them and pick them up and get a golden rune number 1. So there you go. But ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. This has been my tips to kind of get you started with Elden Ring. It's a fun game. This is my game of the year. It's absolutely amazing. It's fun. So many ways you can play. Extremely challenging, extremely fun, extremely satisfying as well. If it's your new first Souls game, comment below your first time playing and what your experience has been. If there's more tips, I want this video to be a all-encompassing video for tips. If there's more tips you have, comment down below and share them with people, because I want people to be able to, one, have a good time playing a game. I've heard some people are frustrated, and videos like this really help kind of alleviate some of the questions you might have. And most of the time people are frustrated because they don't know how to build their character, not doing enough damage, and they get killed. But by following some of the tips I gave you in this guide, you should be able to overcome any adversity you have in the game. But thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe for more Elden Ring content. Give the video a thumbs up. It really supports me a lot. Share it with a friend or family so they can, one, buy the game and play the game, and anybody still having any kind of difficulty playing the game. My family, until next time, dear gamers, signing out.